It has been 9 months since Agamatsu has become a contributor and developer, but was making a popular YouTuber and developer the right choice? That means being forced to actively upload content while also working on the game. Let's dig deeper. It's safe to say his videos are still enjoyed by most, but the community's opinion on what he did to the game is a lot more divided. In fact, I've been seeing more hate than I've ever seen him receive. If you don't believe me, just search Agamatsu in any Discord server and see what pops up. People are even hating on him in the public banner pews for no reason, like he personally hit them with the ban hammer somehow. However, there are some genuine criticisms, like not liking Elder Primadon and Parliament, which he added himself. People don't like how they're bland because of them being reskins, which is an objectively true statement. They are reskins. It's valid to think it's mid or even lazy. Though, if you think about it, we would have got an OP, untested slop weapon instead. If you had to choose between an OP slop weapon making Chime unplayable for 2 weeks or more PvE content, everyone is going to choose more PvE content. I might be sounding like a glazer at this point, but I actually disagree with a lot of Agamatsu's takes. Like wanting Lightook removed and the Shrine of Order nerfs, which are now partially reverted thankfully. Most recently, I heavily disagree with the new boss drops not being bankable. That's just forcing people to waste their time when the game is already tedious and dry. Then you might be wondering, why is this not an Agamatsu hate video then? This video's title is positive after all. It's because what his opinions are, good or bad, isn't what's important in the grand scheme of things. I think not liking one bad change, or one piece of content he added, is still valid. But seeing things individually in isolation means you miss the bigger picture. So let's zoom out a bit. If you think about it, we finally have a developer who has played the game a lot. The player base finally has a voice to reach the devs through Agamatsu, who's more in touch. Ever since Agamatsu became a dev, he has been actively doing polls, and not a single time has he ignored the results. Never forget when the community voted for Conquest to not be added, just for it to be ignored for 3 years. The polls he made are actual pain points of the game too. He actually plays the game, so he has a pulse on what is plaguing the game. Not only is the quality good, the quantity is even better. He made the most polls out of all of the devs ever since he became one. Just scroll through the channel right now, it's pretty much all Agamatsu. You might not know this if you're new to the game, but we never actually had a way to directly suggest something to a developer until now, unless it was from a tester. If there isn't a popular YouTube video about a problem, it just completely flies under the radar. No amount of complaining would fix anything. But Firranos, what about the suggestions channel? I'm about to give you the black pill here. The suggestions channel never matters most of the time. At least, not in the way players may think. It exists to redirect frustration from players to the suggestions channel. It gives angry players a place to vent and gives the illusion of being able to change things. Intentional or not, that's what ends up happening. The result of that is not even 1% of the popular suggestions being implemented. Just to be clear, I don't have any insider info, nor am I a tester. It's just that the math checks out and everyone who looks into it can see that. There are 59,000 popular suggestions right now. These aren't just regular submissions. These are ones with hundreds of upvotes that get automatically moved to the popular suggestions channel because they're usually good. Let's be generous and say 2/3 of it are duplicates. Even then, nowhere near even 0.1% of the suggestions are being implemented. I can count with a single hand how many were actually added to the game. Even the tiny amount of suggestions that were added are all from 2 years ago or longer. The sad truth about Deepwoken is the devs genuinely don't have enough time to go through the suggestions themselves. The suggestions channel is a necessary evil. This isn't even cope or me defending them, they just have multiple projects. In an ideal world, we have a team of 5 devs dedicated to only Deepwoken and nothing else, while also having a dedicated dev who goes through the suggestions weekly and actively replies. But that's not the case and never will be without more devs working on only Deepwoken. So many of the weekly updates updates are just poor Archmage pulling an all-nighter completely by himself at the last minute. Despite that sounding all doom and gloom, the devs actually made the right choice in the situation, since they made Agamatsu serve the role of being the voice of the players. It's a band-aid solution, sure, but it's way better than having nothing, which is the way it was for 3 years. It still, to some degree, solves the problem of players not having a reliable way to give feedback. In fact, he even goes out of his way to listen to feedback. Agamatsu does regular game discussion live streams for both PvE and PvP, so you can type what you think in chat, or just give feedback in a video's comments, which people already do. And from what I can tell, he genuinely listens even if he doesn't implement them all the time. Comments and live streams don't sound like the most bulletproof method, I know, but it's a lot better than screaming into the void that is the suggestions channel. Even if you think he has only done harm so far, it's clear he's at least trying to make the game better. If he didn't care or try at all, he could have very easily just taken the free clout and get a spec for being a dev and never be seen again. That's most people who become devs or testers for a Roblox game. We take it for granted that Agamatsu didn't just get a free spec and disappear forever. I'd even go as far as to say his interests and ours align more than the average Roblox developer. So many Roblox devs actively want to make their game worse to make more money out of players, instead of making their games actually fun. Just look at how many pay-to-win and meaninglessly grindy front-page slop games there are. They're optimized to keep you playing and returning to exploit the Roblox algorithm. The poor iPad kids are getting spawn-camped by Stealer Brainrot and Spinner Baddie. Unlike Roblox devs, Agamatsu wouldn't benefit from making the game boring and pay-to-win, because that would mean no one would watch Deepwoken videos. It's in his best interest to make Deepwoken as fun to watch and play as possible. Also, honorable mention to Dan VR for recently getting tester. I'm not a tester, so I can't speak for how much he does, but it's a good sign regardless. Dan VR doesn't really pull punches when he criticizes the game, but despite that, the devs still made him a tester. Huge props to the dev team for doing that. Maybe you think all of this is not that deep, and that nothing ever happens. As a fellow Doom post enjoyer, I can respect that. The game hasn't changed completely or anything, so it's kinda true that nothing happened. However, it's undeniable that this is a good sign that the devs still care at the very least. Since for a while, some people thought Deepwoken was abandoned for Raguza's new game called Cursed Gear, but I think it's a lot less likely now after they hired Agamatsu, since why would you go out of your way to hire a person for a game that you're abandoning soon? But let me know what you think, and see you later.